Testing. A roster? There were a couple of people.
Okay. I made 3 of these, so I'll leave one down here.
Okay.
I'll be right back and put one up there.
Good morning. Sorry about that. If you can find your name in here, that's one option.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll get it sorted for Friday. So there's like 25 of them. I'm guessing they're alphabetical. My apologies. All right, what are our lighting options here? Because that one's not going to work. Okay, this appears to have no effect. Oh, it did on Thursday. That's like really bad too.
You're all grown up. Kind of. I can't. No, it's Bryce. The team leader, Bryce.
Good morning. Corey McMillan. Corey McMillan. He's still working his way in the door. That's her. There he is. People.
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe it's kind of like that height thing. Once you get
Yep.
past a certain number, it's just like the same, no matter how much larger it is.
That might be a thing. Good morning. How's it going? Oh, that was a mistake. Hi.
I got an email from Lewis.
Okay.
Do you know which team he is?
Right there. You got lucky, man. Lewis, wave.
Yes.
Hey! You'd like to have a meeting with
John.
Dr. Farrar, your office for the meeting?
Yeah.
So John 30. It's right there. What's going on, man? Nice to meet you.
I'm looking. John Doe. There.
So you'll definitely be part of the meeting.
Looking for your teams? We got a second stack here. Pass that one through too. All right. I'm sorry? Yeah, no problem. Just watch out for the wires. Cool. Ooh. Good morning. Matthew Newman.
All the way at the back.
All right, first day of class. Yeehaw. You want to play cameraman? Are you up front?
I'm not. Well, I can be up front. I can play cameraman.
All right.
You can also have the two guests.
Huh? Oh, nice. You get to play cameraman. Just aim that. All right. Hey, this didn't go too badly. How many of these sheets do we have? I'm guessing you don't know who your team is. Is that correct? Okay. Not the biggest crisis in the world. We can get as many in the next minute or two, but then let's just find seats for today, and we'll continue this experiment on Friday. Yeah. Veronica. Veronica.
Oh, she is not. Wednesdays are not.
Oh, right. Not today. Okay. Sorry about that.
She will be here on
She'll be here Friday for sure. We'll get you there. Yeah. Huh? Hannah. Hannah. Woo!
Yeah, she had thought her lab was canceled for today, and then last minute.
And then shucks. This is bad. I can't get the lights to move. The buttons don't work. Hi. Jonathan who?
Han?
Jonathan Hahn. Jonathan Hahn. We're looking. No luck. Okay. Sorry about that. Jonathan Hahn, you here? Where you at, bud? All right. Not yet.
You're not looking for a helmet. You are the helmet.
These aren't buttons, are they? No. Huh. Maybe there's light switches in the back.
Yeah, right. How long are you trying to go for?
Not.
All right.
Of course, the lights don't work. How does this? All right, it's about to get scary in here.
We're not sponsored.
Ghosts in the machine. Well, I guess it's real. The pictures are going to get washed out, though. That's frustrating. Good morning.
Hi. Do you know where Brandon is?
Brandon, right there.
Oh, cool.
Huh? I don't know. If we could get these lights to work, I'd be really happy. I know, right? It's like I keep pushing the button thinking something different will happen.
Yeah.
And it won't. Okay, let's just get started. All right, hey, good morning. Good morning. Okay, so what is that? Probably about 85% found their teams the first day. I'm pretty psyched for that. Let's go ahead. If you haven't found them yet, I apologize. We do need to get started. We're going to have a second opportunity here on Friday. Don't worry. We'll get you together soon, okay? And so, yeah, everybody, if you just grab seats, move to the centers as much as you can because there's still a lot of people coming in. That would be greatly appreciated. And we'll go ahead and get started here momentarily. If anybody has any wizard magic that can work on these lights, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, right? I tried the clapper. I tried the force. What's the... Huh? No, that didn't do it. Maybe... yeah. Huh? The podium controls do nothing?
I'm a TA. This isn't yours, right?
No.
Hi, awesome. Thank you.
No problem, bud. Nope. Okay, so apologies in advance if you can't see. As well as normal, I will go find out how this machine works, but we've pushed every button on it, and of course, it doesn't do what it did last time. Because that's how computers act, right? All right, so if everybody could please just grab seats, come on in, get your seats. We will continue finding and meeting our teams on Friday, if you haven't already. I apologize for the complexity. finding 250 people and getting them to match up is a adventure in logistics for sure. So, good morning. I'm Tony Farrar. I'm a professor in the Mechanical Engineering Department, and I'll be teaching this class as well as a few other things that I do here as a professor, and I am so excited for this semester, particularly this class. This is version 2 of a brand new course that we offered for the first time last semester, and we have learned a lot of really interesting things about how to teach people, and we are now bringing you the coolest, most amazing thing ever made. I'm sure of it. Unlike most first lectures, today's goal is actually to sell you something. Don't worry, I don't need any money. I think that in this class, it's going to be my primary job to motivate you. And I'm not talking about basic motivation of, get off your keister and do something. You're here, so you're doing that, right? But we need to help you, first and foremost, understand why it is that what we're talking about in this class matters for you, why it's going to be a value add to have this in your life, and to convince you that it's worth putting in the effort of actually learning it, because we're going to do some hard work this semester. And so this class is going to be a bit different than most. Rather than this being an invitation for you to follow directions and do as you're told, this is a class where you're going to be invited already, this early on in your academic career, to create and to make things, and not just anything, but things that matter. And so today is a sales pitch to get you moving in that direction. What's it a sales pitch for? A problem-solving course. My goal for you to walk out of this class at the end of the semester is to have you develop your own problem-solving framework, the way that works for your brain, that when you find yourself in brand new situations that you haven't encountered before, rather than being intimidated, you know where to start. When I was in grad school, I studied jet engines. And my first job out of grad school was in nuclear reactors and medicine. Two things I never studied. And when I got there, what I realized is that the most important thing I learned in school was how to find myself in a new situation and quickly teach myself enough that I could become useful. And about a month into that job, I was starting to contribute. I won't claim that I was an expert, still won't claim that I'm an expert in that field, but I was able to help and contribute. And so that's kind of where we're headed. I've got this framework that works for me. Everybody has one for themselves. You're going to discover that this semester. So the question is, what kind of problems are we going to solve? We have a really interesting challenge in this class. I don't know if you checked very closely, but there's no prereqs. This class is offered freshman year, first year here if you're transferring, and we expect you to know absolutely nothing in terms of engineering math or engineering science. So we're going to teach you an engineering problem-solving course that doesn't use math or science directly. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to realize what it is that engineers actually do. Engineers solve problems for people, right? How do we do that? Well, by designing things. We create technologies, we create frameworks, we create ideas, and we're going to learn how to do that, and we're going to do it in a way that doesn't use very much math or physics. So you can breathe a sigh of relief there, depending on where you're at, but we will be doing other interesting things. One of the things that I'm very excited about is that this class is partnered up with the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Institute out of the Fox School of Business. They're going to be coming in and helping with a few things where we're going to start really digging into this framework of identifying human needs, refining those needs into specific projects that we can actually create something with, and then actually create something that meets these needs. And so the question is, if we're not going to be designing physical systems using math and science, what are we going to design? Well, the answer is whatever it takes. We're here for impact. We're here for legacy. And the goal is that this is not a class, but the beginning of a movement that starts with you and goes for the rest of your career. And so here's how we're going to do it. We're going to use computer programming to teach you problem solving. And it turns out that this works really well because computers are stupid. They know a few basic things about manipulating numbers, about manipulating text, and things like that. And everything that your computer, your phone, all these things that you play with do is just an interesting and unique combination of these few simple rules, and from it, complex behavior arises. And it turns out this also maps really well to engineering. I'll give you an example. In thermodynamics, there are 3 rules. Thermodynamics turns out to be pretty dumb too. There are 3 things that thermodynamics knows how to do, and it's also everything that you need to design devices that range from air conditionings to airplanes. And so we're going to have a lot of fun exploring human problems that can be solved using software. And so here's our plan in a nutshell for what you're going to experience this semester. Okay? First off, we're going to identify human needs. And then we are going to find ways to meet that need, which brings us to enough motivation that we're going to need to learn enough about coding that we can execute on that vision and actually create something. So let me give you an example. Let's solve world hunger right now. Obviously, we can't just take all the food in our backpacks and be done, right? That's not going to do this. And so even if we all owned farms, we wouldn't have enough to grow and actually be able to solve the entire planet. Every hungry person gets food, just using the resources that we have in this room. And so what we need to do is we need to narrow our scope a little bit. Let's pick a city that has a hunger problem in a developing country. So maybe that's a little bit more of a specific problem, and from that we can start asking questions like, why don't they have food there? Well, maybe one of the things we discover as we start to explore that is that they don't have food there because of infrastructure problems. It's very difficult to deliver the food if there are potholes and traffic jams and all these kinds of things. And so interestingly enough, one way that we could fix the hunger issue in that city would actually be to solve the traffic problem. Interesting. Well, one way we could prevent traffic is by reducing the number of accidents. One way to reduce accidents might be that we could, stop people from running red lights. So imagine if we created a system that tracked people's locations based on cell phones or something like that, so that we could use real-time traffic data to optimize how the traffic lights work, discourage people from running red lights, which reduces the number of accidents, which reduces the traffic congestion, which improves our ability to deliver food, and now all of a sudden we've solved world hunger with an app. This is how the world actually works, one micro awesome solution at a time. The problem that we have is that all the people in this room, some of us know how, others don't, know how to code yet. And so we're going to have to get through that, and it'll be fine. When I was a kid, not that long ago, in case you have looked at me here, it was possible for me to go the entire way through K-12 education without touching a computer. Yeah. Imagine a world where you didn't know how to type. Not being able to write a Word document, not being able to send a text message or an email. Is this thing working? Cool. Okay. Couldn't do tweets, couldn't do Facebook. In fact, you couldn't even be on Snapchat because you still need to at least have enough text to type in a password or two, right? Fortunately, I did learn how to type. It was not in school. It was using something that you may or may not have ever played with before, kicking it old school. And this is where LOL was born, right? I think that we're in a very exciting time. In my lifetime, typing has gone from optional to a basic literacy. It's almost impossible to function in our world if you can't type at some level. I think that we're reaching the next step in that. As computers, as devices like smartphones become so ubiquitous, being able to create in that space is also now about to be a core literacy. Being able to teach your computer how to do things. So here's a fun little history lesson for you. In 1996, there was a student named Larry Page at Stanford. And at that time, the internet was very new. He was frustrated that the only way you could find things on the internet was by knowing where they were. You had to type in a URL. There was this neat thing called a hyperlink. You could click from one thing to the next and go down really interesting pathways, but it always started with knowing where to start. So he wrote a little app called a crawler. And what it would do is it would start at a web page, and it would scan it for the 5 most common words, and then it would click all the links on that web page and scan all of those for the most 5 common words, and then it would click all of those, and so on and so forth. And he built this huge database of the 5 most common words on all these different websites, and then sorted it the other way. So now if I want to find websites that say tuna fish on them, I could ask Larry Page for his spreadsheet and access that and find a whole bunch of websites about tuna fish. And that was the birth of a thing called Google. Not very far after that, a character named Mark Zuckerberg was sitting in a classroom and had an idea for connecting people at his school. And I don't need to go too far with that. You know where this person ended up. In 2006, Jack Dorsey was a student at NYU. At that time, most of us didn't have access to the internet on our cell phones. I know that might seem wild to you, but that was a thing. And he came up with an idea that would let you interact with the internet from a cell phone using text messages. As a student, he wrote this app. In 2011, Evan Spiegel had this idea of creating disappearing pictures. And he pitched it to his programming class, and they hated it. He got something like a D on the project. Well, not to be stopped, he and 2 of his buddies from the class started a company, ran it out of Evan's dad's living room, and of course we all still use that today. One last one here. Characters named Tyler Droll and Brooks Buffington had an idea to create a system that would let people communicate with each other based on location, but anonymously. And that created some interesting things. Pitched that to their class. Of course, their class hated it. Created the app and started the business anyway as students at Furman University. And that became Yik Yak. I think that one's kind of up and down these days, but it's still there. Now, I know that these things are maybe a little weird because they're so far removed from us, right? I would like to inspire you a little bit more by mentioning the names Andrew Natchke, Yasmin Mustafa, and Adam Lyons, who are Temple students who started businesses while they were students that were largely software-based. And I'm really excited to tell you that we're, first off, going to bring people like this into the classroom to tell you their stories on how they did this as we go through the semester. And, excitingly enough, we're bringing in the support that will help you add your name to this list if you'd like. Okay, so if we stop for a minute and think about what it is that computers actually do, it's not a lot. Computers store information. Maybe. There we go. Computers store information and a system that makes it easy to retrieve. They automate manipulating information, and they connect to each other so that information can be shared from one place to another. What's really interesting to me is the fact that they don't create the information themselves. They don't decide what should be connected. We have to teach them those things. And so the way that we add value to a computer is by teaching it to do things. Every time you write some code, your computer becomes smarter. And so one could argue that because my computer has interesting things in it that yours doesn't, it has a different value associated with it than another. Now, not one's better than the other, one's just different than the other because they all have different things that we have taught them to do. And the goal is to let you teach your computer how to do whatever it is that you want to do. And it reminds me of an attitude that started a very long time ago about this thing that, it's just wild to me that it doesn't look any different, it doesn't weigh any more, but it knows things that yours doesn't. The reason that computers don't do the other half of the equation is because they're human tasks, and they take things like creativity, heart, courage, and generosity. We're going to zero in on generosity for a minute. Think about this for a minute. Of the services that I just went through that most of you likely use on the order of 100 times a day, how much money have you spent to have the right to use them? Big goose eggs, right? The thing that is remarkable to me is that the creators of these programs, these apps, these systems, had a great idea. In fact, maybe the best idea they're going to have in their lives. And they gave it away for free. Oh, and now they're all billionaires. This is the beginning of a new time in the way economics works. The industrial economy was based on a single concept, which is scarcity is value. The less of something there is that people want, the more valuable it is, right? Diamonds cost a lot more to purchase than seashells. One of the scarcest things was information. And during that time, information was stored in big fancy buildings like this, usually at universities, and so a good school was a place that had a good library. And being educated meant going to this place and injecting as much of that information into your brain as humanly possible, because when you left, you wouldn't have it with you anymore unless you did that. And so people were almost guaranteed jobs when they got these degrees because people who had that information in their heads were also scarce. An interesting thing has happened, though. Thanks to the internet, the connection economy has made information abundant. My cell phone, which I'd hold up if it wasn't being used to record, contains access to all of the information that people know. It's all there. So does yours. And so there's a really interesting question here. If we don't need the libraries and all that information is all now accessible, why are you here? Every concept that we're going to teach you in school, the concept itself, you can find that on the internet. You could watch videos about it. You could read about it. So why come to a place like this in a day and age like the one we're in? I think the answer is that in the connection economy, the thing that we value more than anything is connection. And so the experience of being here, the experience of surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are also exploring these concepts, iron sharpens iron, that whole thing, is the thing that actually brings you here. And so this class is going to be highly focused on giving you your money's worth through value-added experiences that you cannot Google. The only way to do these things is to come to this room, because this is the only place in the world that we're doing things just like this. The neat thing is that the meaning of education, I think, is transitioning as well. We are losing the need to memorize a whole bunch of ideas and instead know how to find them when you need them, connect them to each other in new and interesting ways, and use that to produce something that people want and need. Turns out there's good news here. The industrial economy that we're waving goodbye to offered disproportionate opportunities to a very few people. Think about this example for a minute. There are 37,000 high school basketball teams in this country. Does anybody know how many college basketball teams there are? 351. Does anybody know how many professional basketball teams there are? All right, fine. The ones that can have the opportunity to play in the NBA Finals. Okay. How many professional NBA teams? Ha! Cute. Well, I think it's 30, 32, something like that. Think about this a minute. There is only room in the NBA for 150 starters out of the 150,000 students who started playing basketball in high school. 150 people make the cut. Everybody else goes and gets real jobs. And even in that, there's only room for a few LeBron Jameses. The thing that's fun about the connection economy is how much more room there is. Think about this for a minute. The NBA, a very large and successful organization, Its viewership for the finals last year was 20 million people. Does anybody know how that compares to the number of people that are connected to the internet? The answer is 0.5%. There are 3.2 billion people and growing who have access to the internet, which means in that space there is room for everybody to be the LeBron James of some 20 million person market. Kind of an interesting concept. The trick is, can you find them? See, the industrial mindset wants us to think that somehow these opportunities were kind of thrust on. These are the lucky ones, right? The lottery winners, the very blessed few that made it through. But the truth is a little different than that. They chose themselves. The world didn't pick them. And what's even better is, if you're here, it's because you chose yourself to be a winner. And even beyond that, we have a new need. Every one of those 20 million people markets needs you, because inside your brain, inside your heart, are ideas and concepts that only you can bring and perspectives that only you can bring. And so we need you. We need you to contribute. We need you to find the thing that only you can do and then do it. And so in this class, we're going to talk a lot about two 21st century skills. We're going to talk about coding, and we're going to talk about others-mindedness, generosity mindset, finding needs and meeting them. And along with these opportunities, here's a really nice thing. The cost of failure is a lot lower, right? If you are person number 151 in the basketball situation, that's a really bad day. When you fail in the connection world, it's just learning. My code didn't work. It looks like this. That's as bad as it gets in this class. And interestingly enough, that red text, if you could see it, thanks for the lighting in here, it would tell you instructions on how to fix the thing you botched. So, if you have never written code before, don't do this immediately because it'll take forever, but I would like you to go to sleep as a person who has written code tonight. So I'm going to give you a really easy win here. Open up any text editor on your computer and make a new file called helloworld.html, not docx, not .txt. You have to change that part. And your computer will ask if you're sure, and you say, oh yeah. And then you want to type this stuff in. And as you type it, think for just a half a second as you type, and what you'll probably realize is how this works. Any ideas what the word, where's my laser beam, what the word's title might mean? Any ideas what the word title might mean? It's not a trick question. It's the title! Yeah. Wait till you see where that pops up. If you change the code a little bit, you'll see it display somewhere on your screen. So play with this for half a minute. All you have to do then is save it, close the editor, and then browse to that file and open it with a web browser instead of a text editor. And you have just created the code for a bare bones and beginning web page. Welcome to the larger world of being a coder. So, how's this class going to work? How are we going to do this? Our idea is to continually put you in a position where you're creating. Okay? In order to do that, what we're going to do is sell you on a really high-value mission that you care about. We're going to provide you with outrageous resources to support you in your endeavor. And then we're going to hold you responsible for the outcome. And not just any outcome, an outcome that works. And we're going to do this over and over and over again this semester. And it's going to work really well. You're going to have lots of opportunities to continue tinkering and trying things. And I'll tell you about how that works now. So the three things I want to tell you about here are your mission. This is kind of the high level of what we've talked about today so far. Let's go one step further. Our goal in this class is to identify needs and meet them with code. Here are some examples that you might consider. I have a family member who's deployed, has kids at home, and I'm amazed that around here, if you send your kids to a high-end daycare, there's an app. And in that app, is the opportunity every day to get text updates, some commentary on the cute things your kid did, maybe even a couple pictures or a short video, all right there. Every day the parents that do that get to do that. Wouldn't it be neat if we could make something that was compatible with all the regulations and things surrounding military deployment and actually figure out a way to give access to things like pictures from home to our servicemen and women? Maybe too far-fetched, maybe not. Every day I take the train in. Who takes the train? All right. As I sit on the train, I see a whole bunch of people browsing Facebook, watching movies, and things like that. And all I can think is, wow, this is interesting, because sitting in that train car is a company. There's a person from marketing and a person from HR, and there's a person from engineering. I know at least one. And it's everything. It's the makings of a startup. Imagine an app that helped us meet each other. Say Tinder for business startups. Imagine getting paid for your commute. Medical paperwork continues to be a huge plague, huge challenge. Anybody who's been, if my mother-in-law wasn't extremely diligent in paying attention, there was a chart mix-up. She almost got the wrong shot. Scary experience, right? Maybe we could figure out ways to streamline the process of documentation so that medical doctors could do medical things instead of filing. Wouldn't that be something? And last semester, we did that. Last semester, we made 2 apps. Last semester, we made an app that would take the contents of your fridge, and it would tell you what recipes you could make so that you could start cooking food and things before your ingredients spoiled. We also made an app for Alzheimer's sufferers to help them remember things. And these are on the list, by the way, for this semester. If you're excited about either of those options, you can pick them up and carry them farther. So, the resources that we're going to provide you with. The 2 big ones are, we've got learning modules for you online, and we are going to build a learning community right here that's going to get you everything it is that you could possibly need. So the learning modules are the main resource. We have learned time and again that the worst way to teach somebody how to write things like computer code is by watching me do it in a lecture like this. So what we've done is we've curated the best online learning modules that we could find using all kinds of sources. We got Lindo, we got Codecademy, we're using HackerRank. And what they are various flavors of interactive lessons for you to get the basics of computer code. And these are the 10 topics that are most critical that you're going to be learning. At the end of that, you're going to pick up one of 3 individual learning paths that you and your team are going to agree upon to create a project. And so your options will include a desktop app, an Android app, an iOS app, and there will be some extra learning modules for you to go through there. And then the semester will end with you actually creating a project. Languages that you're going to experience are JavaScript. We're going to teach you Python. And then you're going to pick a 3rd language, but depending on which of these projects that your company is doing, maybe you'll be learning HTML and CSS, maybe you'll be learning Java or Kotlin, maybe you'll be learning Swift. These are the languages that are used to do these things. The reason that we started this far up is that JavaScript can literally be written and tested on your computer right now without you installing a single extra piece of software. It already knows how to do it. Python is one step farther down the road. We'll have to install a couple things, and then that'll be the same. And then from there, we're going to get you into the really fancy stuff where you'll be using specific programming environments called IDEs to write in these languages here. All right. So there's that part. Now, the community. The way this class is going to work is we're going to have lectures like this. Mondays will be mostly presentation-based. Wednesdays are going to be mostly interactive. We're going to have exercises and examples and things like that, mainly focused on helping you get down the more confusing concepts that students experience when it comes to actually coding. Okay, we'll have lots of experiences there. Every Friday, we're going to have team coding challenges. And these will be micro assignments. Goal is completed during class to really help bolster your learning, especially on the things that people find confusing. In addition to that, we are building companies here. We call them teams, but we like to call them companies with the hope that that's what they become. And so you've been randomly assigned. I think we got about 70 or 80% of you to actually be able to meet each other today. Don't worry, we're going to continue this a few times. We'll get back together on Friday, obviously, and make sure that everybody meets everybody there. And you are encouraged to work together. Let me say that again. The goal of these online modules is for you to go work together on them. Not for you to go hide in your dorm room and be lost and confused by yourself. There is not a single assignment in this course that you have to complete in isolation. Not a single assignment. So work together. Okay? One of the big things we want you to learn how to do is form teams and work in them. So in addition to that, we have what we're calling group code from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. There will be TAs who know all the languages for this course, hanging out in the engineering library. If you don't know where that is, second floor, front of the building in the engineering building. 9 to 5 every day with the exception of the hour that we're in here. You can walk in and get help. And what we hope you'll do is take over some tables and work together right there. Okay? These people were picked because, yes, they know how to code and because they love to work with you. And so that's why they're here. We have an email address for this class called codinghelp@temple.edu. We guarantee you a response at least twice a day, 7 days a week. I'd like you to look around and see how many people are in this room. We have a huge staff of people manning this email address, and I am begging you, if you have a question, to send it there. And if it's something that only I can answer, I promise they will forward it to me and I will get you an answer. The hardest thing that I dealt with last semester with this large course was not being very responsive to email, and I don't want that to happen to you. So send your emails there, and if it's something that I need to address, I promise it'll get to me, but you will get answers really quick if you use that email address instead of mine. codinghelp@temple.edu. Please, please, please. But I want you to also know, I'm here for you. This is why I come to work every day, is to support you. And so if you need anything, reach out. In addition to that, we are on all the social. We've got links on Canvas so you can find us, but we do all of these things regularly. We are building a community there, not just so that you can interact with each other and find help, but we are pulling people in from industry, from other schools who want to talk to you about coding. I've got professionals in these groups who will tell you what they do all day on their job as engineers using code. Great place for you to network and interact. So, summary here for you real quick. We're getting together Monday, Wednesday, Friday right here in this room, and we have lots of other ways for you to interact with human beings, and I hope that you will take advantage of all of them, because there's only one way you won't get help in this class on anything that you're trying to do, and that's to not ask. Oh, I just thought of Dumbledore. Help is always given. So here's your responsibility. 9 or 10 hours a week. That's the math that we do on a college class. We have designed this course to take that time. And I absolutely guarantee that if you put that in, if you budget your time in a way that allows you to do that, you will be wildly successful in this class. Goal number 1 is that you need to finish the modules. That's all this stuff. The way this is going to work is that every one of them has a coding challenge that you'll type and you'll do code in, and it'll tell you if you're getting it right or wrong as you go, and you can try it as many times as you want, and then you press submit, and we'll give you a grade on it, and you move on to the next thing. Your goal is to get a 70 on all of this stuff, and that unlocks the projects for you. Okay? If you want an A in this class, it's really simple. Get to the bottom of this little outline. The project is the culminating experience, and the way that this is going to work, every team here is going to get to talk to each other. We're going to guide you through the process of identifying a problem, refining it into a project, and then actually executing on that. You can make whatever you want as a team. Okay? At the end of the semester, as we coach you through all of this, we're going to have a culminating experience that we're calling the pitch competition, because that's exactly what it is. Your team's going to get a chance to demo their app in front of a panel of software entrepreneur judges who happen to be graduates from this school. We're going to move out of this room and into an event space. There's going to be food and cameras and lights and magic and all that kind of stuff, and even a cash prize. What we hope comes out of this class are actual apps that we can start supporting, and you guys can turn into social change, maybe even businesses. In addition to that, you should know we're hiring. The way this class works, if there's any one thing you need to know, it's the TAs. I just stand here and say stuff. The TAs are here to support you. We have 40 of them who are here to help you. And every semester, they graduate, despite my best efforts to fail them, and they leave us. And so if you're comfortable with programming, if you're finding this inspiring, consider this entire course a job interview. All right, so as we wrap up here, we'll do the other, we're getting close. We got 10 minutes. This is going to work out perfect. Man, it's like I practiced. Does anybody know the story about how to train fleas from Zig Ziglar? Zig Ziglar was an interesting guy, told all kinds of stories with a nice deep southern accent. And one of the stories he tells is about fleas. If you put fleas in a jar, fleas jump. And they jump and they jump and they jump. And they bang their heads on the lid. And eventually what happens is they stop jumping quite that high. And they jump just a little bit lower. And they stop banging their head. And once you've reached that point with these fleas, you can take the lid off and they will jump in that jar, never leave it, and die there. What's happened is they've hit their head enough times that they've defined a new ceiling for themselves. You are going to hit your head in this class. The red text is going to start this afternoon, and it won't stop until after grades are in. Don't define a new lid. Find somebody to help you and blow that lid wide open. So, the basic idea of systematic thinking, and then we'll be done. How's that? Feeling froggy? We good? An algorithm is a set of rules for solving a problem in a finite number of steps. Here's an interesting challenge for us. Let's take attendance right now. One way that I could find out how many people are in this room, you know where this is going? You're going to have to do that in a minute. One option would be to pick a person. You stood up and volunteered. You could do it if you like. And count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And however many people are in the room, it's going to take us a while because we've got to count one by one, right? Another option, I could try and speed this up a little bit. I could count by twos, so like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Works great until I get to the end of a row that has only one person in, or if there's an odd number, right? But even there, we've only cut the work in half. Option number 3 is let's create an algorithm for this, okay? So computers do a weird thing. They start counting from 0, not 1. So step 0. Stand up and think of the number 1. Are you thinking of the number 1? I hope you can say yes. It's all right. All right. Step 1. Pair off with somebody who's standing and add your numbers together. Step 2. One of you should sit down. And return to step 1 if you are still standing. Keep in mind that I said step 1, not step 0. I should be seeing people slowly but surely sitting down here, right? All right, this is starting to work. Find somebody to make friends. We're getting closer. Oh, the math is getting harder, right? Carry the 2. How are we doing here? All right, it's all down to 2 people. All right, we made it. Have we made it? You have 190? There are 190 people in the room? Give or take 70? Huh? How are we doing? Oh, this is perfect. We got 5 more minutes. This is just great. Okay, so what we just did was we started breaking the problem into smaller and smaller chunks. And I know it went a little crazy there. Wonder where about half our class is, but we'll figure that out this week, right? Let's try another one. Does anybody know what a phone book is? It was like this thing that they used to make. It was about this thick. Yeah. Right. Before apps, this was a thing with paper in it, and it had everybody's name and number in it. And so if you wanted to find somebody, you could flip through page by page until you found them. And of course, we'd run into a big problem if their name was Zimmerman and we started at the first page. Option 2 maybe is we flip through 2 pages at a time. We'd run into the same issue though, and it might be even worse. What if we happened to skip the page by bad luck that person was on? So option number 3 is an algorithm. So for example, I'm just going to talk you through this one. We could pick up a phone book and we could open to the middle page. And we could look up and down on that page and we could determine if my last name happens to be among them. If it is, give me a call. If it isn't, see if the last name is earlier in the book and open to the middle of the left half of the book. This was more dramatic back in the day when I could actually get myself a phone book, because right now you would watch me tear half of it off and throw it away. Because now I only need the front half of the book, right? Right, bubble sort. Cool, people know this, right? And then we go back to step 2 and we loop through that, and slowly but surely my book would get smaller and smaller until we found the page I was on. Same deal happens if I happen to be in the later half of the book, right? And so we could open to the middle of the right half, loop through it again, and just keep moving through until eventually we're there. And I think instead of calling this bubble sort, the right thing is that this is a binary search, right? There's an interesting else though, right? We could get all the way down to the last page and still have not found me, right? Aha! So give up, which by the way is probably the real answer. But what's interesting, let me unpack this for you real quick, is we have some things happening here. There are commands. Pick up, open to, look at, call, quit. There are conditions. If this, do one thing. If something else, do something else. There are the statements that we're checking, like if this is true, then we do that one, right? If Ferraris in the names. And lastly, we have these things that tell us to skip whole blocks of code and go somewhere else. All of this built in, and we were going to learn how to create all of those things. And the reason for it is, imagine if I was doing it page by page and we decided we were going to combine our phone book with New York City. That would add millions of steps, right? If I was going page by page. The neat thing about this algorithm is it does it in log n operations, and so that graph looks like this. If we combined our book with New York City's, it would add 1, maybe 2 steps to the entire solution. And so that's what's neat about it. We made it to the end. This week, what you need to do is, first off, feel welcome. We're really glad you're here. This is going to be a wild semester. We're going to have a fun experience. What I'd like you to do, please, is go to Canvas. This is going to become live this afternoon. Yep.
What do you do if there's 2 Tony Ferraris?
Ooh, cute. There's only one. There's only one. He's right here. I would like you to read this stuff. This is all the background information for the course, everything you need to know, all the due dates, every single assignment for the entire course. It's all listed right there for you to do. Go through Module 1. Our goal is to get a third of the way through this week, okay? And so you're going to get an opportunity to pick from Lynda or Codecademy, and there are 10 assignments in Module 1. We want you to do 3 of them by Monday. That's about 3 hours of work, just to let you know. Okay, so that's your goal. And find us on social media, all that stuff. Office hours start today. You can find us upstairs immediately following this course. Thank you for coming. Welcome, and we will see you Friday.
Before y'all go, 2 seconds.
Bye, guys. Now, are you all members?
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Facebook at least, and I think we're also capturing that recording and putting it on YouTube. Yeah, man.
So you talked about like very simplistic kind of teaching our computers to learn.
Yes.
And like, isn't the trend now the deep learning networks so the computers can learn by themselves?
Sure, but we're going to walk before we run, right?
Obviously.
Yeah,
Like,
we're on our way
the new
there.
trend in
Yeah, and so one of the things we'll talk about at some point in this class that is really fascinating to me is that we are moving from a time where the interesting thing is teaching computers to do things to a time where the interesting thing is asking the right question and letting the computer come up with its own answer. I've got a really cool story to tell you about that. But yeah, awesome. What's your name? Gobin, nice to meet you. Tony Ferrari. Thanks for coming, man. This is going to be a good semester.
I'm very excited.
Sweet, let's do this. How's it going?
Good. So I'm just wondering, how do we access those modules?
They're on their way. You don't have them yet.
Okay.
It's on Canvas.
Okay, and
but
then they're just like
soon.
questions. What kind of?
Yeah, so
tasks?
it's very clickable. We're going to send you out to some external resources to either watch videos or do interactive tutorials, things like that. And then our own coding challenges, the assignments listed here. Each one of those is a place. You'll click it and it'll open in a web browser, and you actually type the code in,
Okay.
and it'll tell you if it works. And once it's all working, you hit the submit button, and that's it. Yeah.
All right. Nice to meet you. I'm John.
Hey, John.
Johnny.
Johnny, nice to meet you, Johnny.
So Sam was telling me about
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm Marcus.
Marcus, nice to meet you, Marcus. Yeah.
I joined this class kind of late.
Okay.
So I think maybe that's why I didn't get like the emails or something. But,
Okay.
I'm just wondering on the Canvas.
It will be there soon. It's
Okay.
not there
I
yet.
was just
Yeah,
double
we've
checking.
got it.
Like,
Yeah, we're building it right now.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Welcome aboard, Marcus. Yeah, man. And we'll make sure to get you a team too. Because did you get an email for that? Probably not.
didn't get an email.
When did you add?
That was like a couple days, like Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, we're in the process of finalizing that. We'll get it to you real soon.
Okay.
Cool.
So I'm probably not on there.
Probably not yet. If you just wait, when did you add?
Like Sunday.
Oh, you're on it.
I'm on it.
You're on it. Hey, how's it going?
I took this course last night.
Okay.
So like all the modules I have to do like over again.
Yeah, it's updated a lot to make it more approachable.
It's updated.
Yes. Yeah. And it'll probably go a lot quicker for you. Yeah. Welcome back. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you? Do you know which one Courtney is?
Courtney.
Just found Courtney. But I
He might. It's a he, and I think he already ran for it. Yeah.
no, it's
Friday for sure. Yeah. I think he did for today. Sorry about that. We'll get you to him on Friday. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. What's your name?
I'm Evan.
Evan. Nice to meet you, Evan.
So like you just go into lynda.com or that and just do.
We have everything linked out of Canvas. It's coming this afternoon. Yep. Yeah, sorry about that. Yep, it'll be out on this afternoon. I'll send an announcement letting everybody know. Yeah.
Do I call you Professor?
Ferrari? Yeah, like Ferrari without the I. Yep. Yeah. Nice to meet you, Evan. Yeah,
Weren't those phone books alphabetized?
they were.
So wouldn't it be better just to look through the alphabet?
If you're smart enough to know the alphabet. The computer may or may not know that directly, right? Good morning. This is the freshman coding course. Yeah,
the first time
it was.
you teaching it?
No, last semester too.
Last semester.
Yep.
So it's every semester.
Yep.